Today's message surrounds the idea of the fear of wisdom and is for you if you've been contemplating stepping into the truth of who you are, speaking your mind in some way, perhaps creating your own channels through video format or social media posts, or even just being true to who you are with the people who surround you, and you're fearing what the repercussions of that will be. This message is for you. The message itself came through before the energy did, interestingly, and it was that phrase, the fear of wisdom. And to me, what that means is I think there is a general anxiety about speaking philosophical truths or delving deeply into the emotional context of things, of sharing what we believe to be true, even if it may be wrong, quote unquote, because we know that there is no right or wrong. There is just now. And what we share is true in the now, particularly when it surrounds the idea of sharing wisdom with others in the hopes of helping them or of advancing our own understanding of that wisdom. And this anxiety comes from a number of things, I think. Firstly, the fear of being ostracized or the fear of disapproval, of being laughed at, of being called arrogant, or of others believing that we may think we know more than we know, or that we are uh, in some delusional state of belief about ourselves. So I think that's the first aspect of it. And maybe I'm speaking more to my own version of it, but I think it's a universal aspect of that fear of wisdom. And then I think the another aspect of this fear of wisdom, outside of the fear of disapproval and ostracization, is the fear that we are wrong, as I kind of mentioned in that first aspect of it. But the belief that we really couldn't know wise truths that should be shared with others, that we are limited in our understanding of things, and therefore, why should we share even a partial truth because it might be proven wrong? So I think those are two aspects of this fear of wisdom that that we as a species share. I think there's more, but those are just a couple of examples. And the energy that came through, interestingly, as I was contemplating this message and this phrase, fear of wisdom, was a male energy that looked like Stephen King. And I can't place who it is. I don't know who it is, but I will say that he is a Jesuit or a priest of some kind in the Catholic faith. I tried to reach into my understanding and into my connection to pull a name, and I did pull the name Father Pio, I think his name is, but I'm not positive that that's not just an intellectual um, translation. So I'm just going to go with the notion that this is a priestly energy, someone who was a priest in life, and not long ago, fairly recently, 70s, 80s recently. And I believe that this kind of energy is coming through because that path of faith, the path of the priest, particularly in Catholicism, is one that created a belief system around there needing to be a middle person, in that case, a middle man, in order to communicate with God. And that if you wanted to find peace and understanding, you needed to go to another person in order to connect with the energy of, with the unit of energy, in order to come closer to that peace and understanding. And so I think that the reason he's coming through this priestly energy is because he's acknowledging for us that it has been driven into our DNA, into our understanding as a culture, that we couldn't possibly know or connect in the way that others can, and therefore we should keep our mouth shut and go to church and hold our hands out in pliancy, I think is the word, and wait for another to tell us the truths of wisdom. And I don't think this just affects people who follow the Catholic faith. I think this affects all of us because Christianity, of course, is a main component of our society, whether we are Christian or not, whether we're Jewish or Muslim or Hindi or atheist, it's all a part of our societal understanding. Christianity is a major umbrella over humanity. And so he's acknowledging from his own history as a priest that part of the reason why we have this fear of wisdom is because we think we don't have that connection directly. We think it needs to come from the other in order for it to be true. And so we protect ourselves, and it reflects both in our own personal understanding and also in the ways that others respond to those of us who do share our wisdom. Sometimes it's received well, but sometimes it's received with derision because it seems silly or it seems arrogant, as I said. And I think it is our responsibility to learn to transcend those belief systems now that we can. Christianity no longer holds the sway over the law that it once did. So there's no danger in pushing against those kinds of almost genetic beliefs about our own access to wisdom. So start small is the message. Speak the truth to yourself. Trust and believe that you do have that connection, you do have that access, you do have that wisdom, no matter who you are and no matter what your limitations are. And once you're able to, well, love yourself is what you're doing, but once you're able to speak this truth and this wisdom to yourself, start to step outside of yourself and share it with those who want to listen. And then maybe at some point you'll get to the place where it doesn't matter. It's not about pushing your beliefs on others, of course. It's just about sharing universal truths in a way that is not fearful or shamed. And this will then open the door to the connection to spirit in a deeper way and bring spirit into our material world in a deeper way so that we push ourselves past the tipping point into ascendance, peace, love, and understanding. And just to say, this is not to speak ill of Christians or Catholics. I was brought up Catholic. I have family members who are practicing Catholics. I no longer am a practicing Catholic, but I am not anti-Christian or anti-Catholic. It just so happens that Christianity is a major force still in our society. And so, therefore, this message comes through that lens of the middleman and the urgency of shifting that belief that we need a middleman at all. If you enjoy my messages, I post them every day, so please do feel free to come back. And if you are so inclined, please like and subscribe. It really helps me a lot. Thank you.